The few days that I was in the hospital and I'm sitting there kind of overlooking my life and just thinking about like the type of person I was, like how I went at things and did I give it my all, I was sitting there with regret. And so when I'm sitting there, like it was probably like 12 or 1 a.m. and I'm just thinking to myself, if I ever get the opportunity to play sports or to play lacrosse again, I swear to God I will give it my all. So I kind of vowed to myself at that moment, just because sitting there having that regret, I mean, it sucks. And it really just makes you think, wow, you kind of just went through the motions the last how many years. And I mean, I was not just in sports, like even in the classroom, like I never went above and beyond. I never really tried. I mean, the only reason why I did get into a good school was because I was playing lacrosse. And when I'm playing a Division I level and I'm still not giving 100%, I'm still not taking it seriously, it just really makes you think. I mean, potentially I could have played at one of the top Division I lacrosse programs in the entire country if I actually applied myself. So that was just me thinking to myself, I'm not going to let this accident define the person. And if anything, I'm just going to use it as motivation.
Wow, guys. This week's podcast was fantastic. We had on Noelle Lambert, who's a national Paralympic champion, an inspiration to all, and just an overall great person. Listen to the episode and go check out her charity, Born to Run. Hey friends, here we are on this episode of The Mic Drop, powered by Premier Mortgage Lending. I am super excited to have Noelle Lambert with us, athlete, philanthropist, overall awesome person. Welcome, Noelle.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for being here. I mean, we try to have people here on the podcast that are inspiring and have done some great things. And I think with you, we're kind of taking it to the next level, which is awesome. So why don't you start just by telling us about yourself, who you are, what you're all about?
Yeah, my name is Noelle. I'm 24 years old. I grew up in Londonderry, New Hampshire, currently live in Manchester now. Yep. I went to UMass Lowell, played Division I lacrosse there. And I mean, the type of person that I am, sports has always been a huge part of my life. Growing up, I had I have three older brothers, and I was the baby, and I was also the only girl. So you can pretty much imagine how my childhood was. I was never really playing with dolls. I was always just trying to compete with them, and that's what really helped me drive into sports. And then I earned myself a Division I scholarship. I played 3 varsity sports in high school: soccer, basketball, and lacrosse. And when I earned myself a scholarship, I was just like, wow, everything's coming true, my dreams and everything. I had an outstanding freshman year, and then I had an accident. I was involved in a moped crash. I sideswiped a dump truck coming at me, and I severed my left leg on the scene.
Yeah.
And it was...
on the scene?
It was completely gone, yeah, and I was completely conscious. And the first thing that I did think about, it was lacrosse, and it was sports, just because that's really what gave my life purpose.
Yeah, that's probably your identity at that time.
Absolutely. I mean, I wasn't really going to college to go for school. I was going to play sports. And so having something like this happen, I was just laying there thinking, I'm never going to be able to walk again, let alone run or get on the field or basically do anything that I'm going to want to. And it was crazy. I mean, luckily it was on a main road, so he had tons of people coming over, rushing. The guy that was driving behind me actually stopped his car and created a tourniquet with his shirt to stop the bleeding, which saved my life. I remember seeing someone literally walking around with like my leg in a towel. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, I'm asking everyone, I'm like, that needs to come with me because they need to reattach it. Once the EMTs got there, they put another tourniquet on, and then I'm in the ambulance. And I was just that annoying person asking millions of questions, and nobody's answering me.
You were still asking a million questions?
I was completely conscious, and I was asking them, I'm like, why am I still awake? Can you like put medication in me?
Can you make me not be awake?
Can you punch me in the face at least? Because I don't want to be awake for this right now. I don't want to feel it. I just want to go to sleep. And they just were really quiet. I think they were both very, very nervous. I mean, one of the EMTs, he was fairly new to the job. And I'm asking them if they're going to be able to reattach my leg. They're not answering me. One of them's struggling to put an IV in me. Jeez. And then they cut off all my clothes, and then including my favorite bathing suit. And I think I was more pissed off at the fact that happened than my leg actually being gone, because
oh my God.
It was just like I was just having like a teenager meltdown. And then
you were what, 19?
Yes, I was 19. And then I was actually med flighted to Boston Medical Center, and they gave everybody headsets on the helicopter besides me. And so I'm how many feet in the air, and I'm trying to talk to people and nobody's listening. But then they gave me another dose of the medication I was on, and then I kind of didn't know who or what I was until I got to the hospital, which was good. But
because you were on the Vineyard, right?
Yeah, I was on Martha's Vineyard, my first time ever going there. But I mean, I've never driven a moped before. I actually had one of my teammates on the back with me, so kind of the weight distribution was off.
Yep.
Really had no idea how to drive the thing, and I mean, it was literally like a scene out of a movie, kind of how it was happening. So I mean, it's crazy to think about how I can picture every single detail, but I mean, I don't view it as a negative. Honestly, like I believe I'm a sole believer of things happen for a reason, and you are the sole indicator of how your life turns out. And
Absolutely.
So that was kind of my attitude from the beginning, and I just kind of wrote it.
So you felt that way from right after, you were probably in the hospital for a while, recovery, things like that. You had that mindset from the very beginning?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I woke up, that was the only thing wrong with me. I didn't have a scratch on my body other than that.
Unreal.
So I was only in the hospital for about 4 days, and I think that definitely was part of the reason why I never went into a big depression, was because I wasn't sitting in a hospital bed for months and months like a lot of people are. And I actually had a lot of the Boston Marathon survivors, few of them coming to visit me, and a lot of them reaching out and kind of hearing their stories and everything that they've gone through. I just literally sat there and just thought to myself, I can't feel sorry for myself right now. Hearing the things that they've gone through, and they're telling me that my life is going to be fine, I'm going to be able to do the things that I want to with my life, then I'm 100% going to believe it. And my head coach was one of the first people to come and visit me, and I was kind of expecting her to say, like, I mean, I don't know what I was expecting. I was just kind of thinking that she was going to be like, yeah, like, you can't play lacrosse anymore. But she just said, your position's going to be waiting for you whenever you want, and your scholarship's going nowhere. The university's behind you 100%. So
awesome. Having
the support system that I did with my family, friends, university, teammates, coaches, that was the reason why I was so positive in the beginning.
Yeah.
And once I got home from the hospital, I immediately wanted to go back to school, and I wanted to be at practice, not even having a walking prosthetic yet. I just wanted to kind of show the support to my teammates that they showed me. And so I think keeping myself busy every single day and kind of having little small goals really did keep my mind off the fact that my leg was gone.
Right. At what point, sorry to interrupt you, but I was thinking about it, because you said before, right when the accident happened, you were saying, okay, you got to bring that leg with me. We got to put this thing back on. At what point did you realize that wasn't going to be happening? Was it pretty quickly?
Yeah. When I was being wheeled into surgery, I was I heard like the nurses and the doctors talking, like saying that my knee was pretty mangled. There was everything below the knee that was severed. So I still had my knee. And when they were talking about that, I was just thinking, there's no way they're going to be able to reattach it. And then when I woke up and they ended up telling me that they took the knee in surgery, I mean, I understood it, because they said that I would have a better quality of life, and I wouldn't have to be going in and out of surgeries every couple months. I wouldn't be able to have issues with it. And I guess my parents made the decision. I guess they asked them if it would be okay for them to take the knee. But when I was in the ambulance, and when I kept asking them, and they just weren't answering me, I kind of got a feeling, because it was just they would have, if it was like a clean break, like slit, but it was just, I mean, I didn't feel anything. The adrenaline, everything, it was just insane. And
That's unreal.
I was in shock. I mean, I felt like a lot of pressure towards it, and like I felt really uncomfortable, like an uncomfortable amount of pressure, but it wasn't hurting until I was in the helicopter, and then like everything was kind of settling in, and like I was just saying, wow, this is really happening right now.
Wow. So you come out of the hospital, you're ready to go. You're like, you get back home, you want to get back to practice, back to your teammates. To me, that's just incredible, especially from a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
I
think it's incredible. And before we started up, you were talking about how before your accident, you were just a young kid being a young kid, and didn't have that type of outlook on everything.
Yeah.
And like that, it just changed, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the few days that I was in the hospital, and I'm sitting there kind of overlooking my life and just thinking about like the type of person I was, like how I went at things, and did I give it my all. I was sitting there with regret. And so when I'm sitting there, like it was probably like 12 or 1 a.m. and I'm just thinking to myself, if I ever get the opportunity to play sports or to play lacrosse again, I swear to God, I will give it my all. So I kind of vowed to myself at that moment, just because sitting there having that regret, I mean, it sucks. And it really just makes you think, wow, you kind of just went through the motions the last how many years. And I mean, I was not just in sports, like even in the classroom, like I never went above and beyond. I never really tried. I mean, the only reason why I did get into a good school was because I was playing lacrosse. And when I'm playing a Division I level and I'm still not giving 100%, I'm still not taking it seriously, it just really makes you think. I mean, potentially I could have played at one of the top Division I lacrosse programs in the entire country if I actually applied myself. So that was just me thinking to myself, I'm not going to let this accident define the person. And if anything, I'm just going to use it as motivation. Yeah,
and I think your attitude there of not feeling sorry for yourself, or feeling a ton of pity for the situation you're in, saying, you know what, I got to change the way I was and be different moving forward. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. And I think it's a testament to you as a person, and probably your parents and the way you grew up, that you even had that inside of you. Yeah. To right away say, okay, I'm like what I always say to here in the company and other people, my kids and everyone else is, if something happens, you don't have to be regretful of anything else. Like when you were saying you were regretful of the way you approach sports in the classroom and everything. No, if something happens and that can possibly cause you to have a shift in mindset. Yeah. Just think what we can do from this day forward. Exactly. That's it. Exactly. And it sounds like you've been just killing it from that day forward.
Well, it's funny how you say, like, I never wanted people feeling sorry for me either. Like, no. I never wanted people to pity me. So I always portrayed this image out on my social media to everybody else that I was okay with it. Yeah. And I have the sickest sense of humor about it. Like, it was insane. Like, people would come up to me and like try to feel sorry for me, and then like I would just like wiggle my nub at them, and I'd just be like, no, like don't feel sorry for me. I went to Cancun with 7 of my friends like 2 months after the accident. I barely knew how to walk. Right. And we're on the beach and we're walking, and I'm learning how to use my prosthetic, and I'm falling everywhere, and they're just laughing with drinks in their hands. They're just like dying laughing at me. Yeah. And everybody is like scarred because we're at a family resort, and they're just like, what is going on right now? Like, this girl needs help, and everyone is just like laughing. And that's just kind of the type of environment that I wanted to be around. Yeah. And I think that's really what helped me not go through a really tough time, is just because I have an uncle. He actually recently passed away to diabetes, but he was a double amputee, and having him as a mentor in the beginning. He's very religious, but he's also his sense of humor was what I strived for. Everything that he just he was just so empowering to be around, and you could never tell that he was an amputee just by the way he portrayed himself. And we always say that he is the best dancer in the Lambert family, and it's just like stuff like that. And so, the stories that I heard from him, I was just like, yeah, like I want to do that. I want to mess with kids saying that like I lost my leg in a shark attack and stuff like that. Like I would love to do that.
What you're saying right here is another example of like some of the strongest people I've ever met or talked to. It comes from some type of, tragedy, not saying in like a negative way, but like something happened that caused you to be, strong and move forward with a different mindset. Have you always had the energy? Like you've got a great energy about you. Have you always had that? From the time you were a kid?
I would definitely say I've always had that. I was the type of person in high school that like teachers and coaches loved and hated at the same time, just because my energy, like I'm a very loud person. Yeah. And my dad's side of the family, he has 10 brothers and sisters. Oh, wow. So I have like 27 first cousins just on my dad's side. Yeah. So, and that whole family is just extremely loud and energetic, and just kind of like if you walk into a room, like that their presence is there just because you can hear it and you can feel it.
I like it. Yeah. I like people that have a presence.
Absolutely. So that's just kind of the person that I am. Even especially like with my friends and stuff. I surround myself with people like that. I surround myself with people who always want to have a good time, always positive, never complaining, never negative. So it's works. That's a key to life. You know what I mean? Put yourself with people you want to be like. Absolutely. Or people that are even, like further along than you. You know what I mean? Like definitely. You're talking about your uncle, double amputee, right? And so when this happened, you said, all right, I want to be like him. Yeah, you know what I mean? Absolutely. Someone who's done it and who's done more, like in a business way. I do that all the time. Yeah. I put myself around other business people that have done more because I can learn from them. Exactly. Or positive people. You got to be in the right environment, because you don't want to be around people that could potentially bring you down. Yeah, definitely. You want people that
can bring you up.
Bring you up.
Right?
Absolutely.
So talk to me about, all right, so you already said, 2 months after the accident, you're in Cancun, which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
So you bounced right back. Where did it go from, after the accident and, with the prosthetic, how did that start working? How did everything unfold from there?
So when I received my walking prosthetic, I kind of envisioned that on the same day I was going to get a running blade and I was going to be able to return back to practice. That's when I learned about the cost of specialized prosthetics and how insurance policies will only cover your everyday leg. They won't help you with a running blade or a waterproof prosthetic. And that's when I learned that they're typically very expensive.
Yep.
They can range anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 just depending on what you want.
Yeah.
So that's when I started learning about all these amazing foundations out there that support amputees. So that's why when I started actually applying, and I heard back from one and they told me that it was going to be about a 6-month process, but that I was approved. So I knew returning to play my sophomore season was impossible, but I still went to every single practice. I went to every single game. I kind of just created a role for myself as like a student coach and just always had that positive mantra, like always being there, supportive. And then by the time that season was over is when I received my running blade. It was right before the summer started.
So this is the end of your sophomore year?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I received my running blade, and I mean, I knew it was going to be very difficult just because, I mean, I'm sitting at practice and like I just had a habit of looking at everybody's feet and kind of how they maneuver on the field. And I don't have a knee on my left side. So cutting is going to be very difficult. Changing directions, changing speeds, just basically everything is going to be very, very hard. So I was doubting it 100%. And the first day I got my running blade, I put it on. I was in physical therapy. I was harnessed on a treadmill. And I couldn't even run for more than 10 seconds at a time because I was so out of shape and it was so unstable and I felt so uncomfortable. And I immediately wanted to take the thing off and never even put it on again. And I remember laying in bed that night just kind of having like a pity fest.
Yeah.
And my mom came in and she was like, well, why are you so upset right now? Like nobody's expecting you to do anything. Just what do you want to do? Like what's your goal? And I was just like, now at this point, I just want to run. I just want to learn how to run.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do it alone. I'm that type of athlete and that type of person that needs to be yelled at and screamed at to do something, or I'm not going to do it. Or that's how I was.
You need a coach and someone to keep you accountable.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I needed that coach playing that tough love with me. If you gave me an inch, I was just going to run with it and I wasn't going to look back. And so I decided to hire a personal trainer. And she was amazing because she was actually a lacrosse coach at the time as well as a trainer. So she knew exactly what I needed to be doing. But I remember going up to her and just being like, listen, I want to take this whole summer and I don't even want to think about lacrosse. I just want to worry about basically learning how to use this blade and feel comfortable enough, whereas I can have the opportunity to return the fall and to decide if I think I should return to practice or not. And so she just basically kicked my ass for 2.5 months and I lost about 25 pounds.
Yep.
And I was in really good shape and I was feeling really great. So going into my junior year, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready for the next steps. And I had a meeting with all my coaches right before preseason. I was like, listen, I want to return to practice. I don't want to be treated differently. I want to be held accountable. And I don't want people to pity me. And they literally, everything I said, they're like, all right, whatever you say. And they threw me into practice that first day and we were doing a full field scrimmage. And I hadn't even picked up a lacrosse stick and ran at the same time. So you can honestly probably imagine how that first
How was your running
went.
going at that point throughout the whole summer?
It was great. I mean, I was picking up my sprints and everything, like getting into long distance running. So I was just getting more comfortable that I actually knew how to work the blade and I could understand it, because with my running blade, it's if you take a wrong step, you're on your ass.
Right.
Like it's not like my everyday prosthetic where it's very secure and very stable. My running one is, if I put it back too far behind me and I try to take a step, the knee will give in. I'll be on the ground.
Gotcha.
So I'm trying to learn. I mean, I'm trying to catch and pass and not worrying about my leg at the same time. And I'm falling everywhere. I probably fell about like 50 times that first day. But at the same feeling, I did love that feeling of being back out there and just like having something to work towards and like kind of having a goal. But after about 2 or 3 weeks of doing that, going to practice, nothing was changing. I mean, I wasn't getting any better.
Yep.
And I started kind of going back to my old ways where I wasn't applying myself. I wasn't giving 100%, and I was kind of hiding in drills. And my assistant coach at the time, could see that I was doing this, and she stopped practice, and she just started screaming at me in front of everybody, basically saying if I don't want to be there, I need to get up and get my ass off the field and quit. And that my teammates don't deserve this, and that I don't even deserve the stuff that I'm doing to myself.
Right.
And so
you asked for it, though.
I did. I mean, my assistant, she was just she was an amazing person. I mean, she literally, from that moment on, we just decided, all right, going to practice once a day isn't going to cut it. I need to be putting in twice as much work as everybody else because I have one less leg.
Yeah.
And I didn't think my teammates deserved the type of player I was being on that. I wasn't making anybody better. So I literally, before and after practice every single day, I just started working with her, my assistant coach. And I mean, we did everything like run tests, footwork drills. We mostly focused on footwork drills just so I could get comfortable and confident with my running blade of doing ladders, backpedaling, changing speeds, just different stuff like that. And it was about, I mean, it literally from the end of the fall, all winter into part of the spring season. I mean, I'm doing that every single day. And I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to get frustrated because, I mean, I was getting to a point where you could see a difference, and I was performing pretty okay at practice, but it wasn't good enough where I could actually play. I'd never wanted them to just put me in a game just for the hell of it. I wanted them to feel comfortable enough to put me on where I could help benefit my team. And so there was just a couple days in a row where I was just struggling because I was putting in all this extra work and I wasn't getting playing time at practice. And I'm just thinking I was just really frustrated. And I had never shown emotion to anybody other than my mom at that point. Like, I'd never cried in front of anybody. Yeah, through all of it. Like, I never cried in front of my friends. Like, I didn't want people feeling sorry for me. Like, I just kind of put that wall up of emotions that I didn't want to let anybody else in. And so there was one day after practice, we're doing our typical footwork drills, and I just kind of dropped my stick and just lost it. Yeah. I mean, I finally let it all out, and then like,
that's necessary.
After like a minute and a half, I like actually like get the courage to look up at my assistant coach, and she's smiling, and she just says, Noelle, like, this is what we've been waiting for. Yeah. We needed this emotion towards you to break through that wall, and now I feel like you're ready for the next steps. And then after that, it was like everything was clicking, and I was finally getting playing time in practice. And then I got the opportunity to be called into the game. And I mean, I'm sitting there on the sideline with about like 10 minutes left to go in like the first half. And I hear my head coach say, "No, I'll go in." And I thought she was kidding. Like I was instantly, I think like my first reaction was like, "No, I'm okay. Like I don't know if I'm ready for this." I mean, because the stress of it too, like I was worrying about the things that I couldn't control, and I was worrying about things that just weren't important. I mean, I was having tons of people reaching out, asking when I was playing, when I thought that I would be on the field. And from the beginning, like my coaches told me, like, when we do decide to play you, we're not gonna tell you because that's not how everybody else is treated.
Right.
And so I have like media reaching out to me. I have like my friends, my family. My mom I love my mom. I wouldn't be here without her, but she was like the worst. She was like, I need to tell everybody when your game is. And so like, I was just like, I don't know when it's gonna be. And so the game that it was all coming up to, I mean, I just learned to kind of just black it all out and just be like, listen, if it happens, if it doesn't, then I need to work towards something else. Right. And I mean, I started running on the field and then I instantly just blacked out. I mean, I just thought to myself, this is just practice. Just think of it as practice. Don't think about the fans, the cameras. Literally, you're on the field right now for one sole reasoning, and it's to help your teammates win this game. And then, I mean, my teammates did an amazing job. They were like, you're scoring in this game. And a perfect feed presented itself from behind the net, and I quick sticked it back into the net.
Incredible.
I just literally dropped it and started sprinting. And then all of my teammates trying to run after me and stop me. But I mean, when I go back and look at the footage, the best part about it was the reaction that I got from my teammates. I mean, because it wouldn't have been possible without any of them. They were the ones that were believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. My coaches especially, like that whole moment is what it was because of them. So
it sounds like you were a great support system to them too, though, right? And everybody was supportive of each other. That's a true team.
Absolutely. You know? I mean, and when I first went to UMass Lowell, we were second year Division I program. So we're all very young. There was probably, most of the team consisted of freshmen and sophomores.
Oh, right. So no upperclassmen because it was a brand new program.
Exactly. So, we needed leadership, and we needed kind of like having everything that happened to me. My sophomore year was our best season yet as a program because everybody just kind of learned to not be selfish. And I kind of portrayed that message out as I don't want to see anybody complaining, crying that they're not playing on the field, because in my eyes, you have the opportunity to go to practice the next day and prove that you should be on the field. I don't have that opportunity. Yeah. So I don't want to see it or anything. And so kind of learning from that, and then going forward, everybody just kind of matured and was just like, all right, this is what needs to happen.
That's a good example of perspective, right? For the rest of those kids. You know what I mean? Like, keep it all in perspective. Like,
absolutely.
Look at the opportunity you have, take advantage of it.
Exactly.
So how far into the season was that?
It was about almost, there was about 5 games left in the season.
Did you keep playing?
I did keep playing my senior year, but the reason why I also took so long is I need to get cleared by the NCAA to even play, because I'm playing with a metal prosthetic, and like I could potentially injure people. So when I heard that too, that kind of gave me a minor setback, and I was just thinking they're never going to approve this, or it's going to take them too long. It's going to be halfway through my senior season, and I'm like going to finally get it. But they actually did it really quickly, and they were amazing that aspect. But yeah, when I returned my senior season, it was like my accident never even happened.
Get out of here.
I knew that I was never going to be that player I was before, starting every game, being the leading point scorer. That wasn't what was important to me. It was important just to be a part of the team and just have a role. Right. And that's exactly what I got solid minutes my senior year, and I was just enjoying it. And I didn't take my redshirt year just because I was just I needed a change in that, in a different sport, just because I was thinking to myself, mentally, this has been draining these last couple of years. I basically learned how to run again and basically learned how to play lacrosse again. Now I was kind of ready for something new, but at the same time, I didn't want to hang anything up yet. I didn't want to retire from sports. Right.
Yeah, but you finished. So exactly. You finished your 4 years. Did you finish school that year as well?
I did. I finished on time too.
So you finished on time.
Yep.
You lose a leg.
Yep.
Right?
I did everything I was supposed to.
Yeah, and you did everything you're supposed to do.
They really are serious when they say college costs an arm and a leg.
I guess so, right?
Yeah.
So when did it transition after that? So you finished school. When did you get into running and doing what you're doing now?
When I returned playing again, someone from the UMass Paralympic track and field world reached out to me during my junior year and just asked if I've ever thought about pursuing the sport. And I was like, listen, I was thinking to myself, I hate running. I hate everything to do with it.
Did you always hate running?
Oh, I always hated running. I was just like, but also, this is a really cool opportunity if I would be good at it. So I at least owe it to myself to try. But I didn't even think about track I wanted to give my all in lacrosse for the last year. And then once graduating, I was just like, all right, I'm going to transition over. Literally the day lacrosse was over, the next day I was on the track. I bought myself a pair of blocks, and I was going with my trainer from home. Both of us had no idea what we were doing. I'm trying to Google block starts on YouTube for amputees. Nothing's coming up. And I was just like, you know what, whatever. I'm just going to sign myself up for the first track meet I see. So it was actually in Arizona.
You're unbelievable, by the way. You are. And
I'm that person.
And it has nothing to do with you having one leg. You know what I mean? It has to do with your attitude, the way you look at things, your approach. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And I'm just interrupting and making a pause here.
You're fine.
You're going to do whatever you want to do in life for the rest of your life because you've got the right attitude.
Yeah. I'm just that it's a blessing and a curse because I'm always never satisfied. I'm always looking towards the future and like what I can do next. And I'm also very impatient. So I want things done yesterday. But that also does help a little bit. So
continue on. Sorry.
No, you're fine. So I showed up for my first track meet in Arizona. It was me, my mom, and my prosthetist. He wanted to come.
Now, what type of track meet was it? Like, what was it?
It was one of the bigger adaptive ones.
Yep.
So I knew that there were going to be a lot of amputees there and everything. Yep. But when I showed up, I found out that the entire U.S. Paralympic national track and field team were going to be there, and all the head coaches. Yeah. In that I was competing against the reigning national champion for my division. So I was just like instantly, nope, I want to go home, pack it up. I'm just going to embarrass myself because I showed up the day before my race to practice on the track, and I'm asking people where the 100-meter mark was because I had no idea. And so, I mean, I go back to my room and I'm like, I'm talking to my mom. I'm like, Mom, like I'm just gonna make an idiot out of myself. I'm literally competing against the girl that's won the national championship the last, I don't know how many years. Like, this girl's a stud. I knew exactly who she was. She was a huge mentor from afar for me.
Yeah.
I really loved everything that she empowered and like her messaging and everything. So it was really cool to be able to get to compete alongside her, but I didn't want to at the same time.
Right.
And so I'm joking around with my mom. I mean, I'm also that type of person. If you tell me I can't do something, I'm just gonna do it until I prove you right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, Mom, like, wouldn't it be funny if I actually won? Like, if I actually beat her? And she instantly was just like, Noelle, there's no shot. There's no shot that's happening.
Your mom said that?
Yeah, she was like, this girl's a veteran that's been running for over 10 years.
Yeah.
You've literally been running track and field for a month. And I was just like, okay, yeah, you're right. I mean, and then waking up the next day, I have never been that nervous for anything in my entire life.
Yeah.
I mean, growing up, I always played like team sports. I'd never done anything individual.
Oh, individual, yeah.
And
Then it's all on you, 100%.
It's all on me, and I only have a certain amount of seconds to do what I need to do in a race. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna trip. Something's gonna happen. Like, this isn't gonna be good. And so I'm warming up. And then I'm like lining up in the blocks, and the girl next to me could see how nervous I was, and she was just like, "You're gonna do great, don't worry."
And this is the girl you're competing against.
Yes, and like this is the stud.
Yep, this is the champion.
And I'm just like, I'm like, yeah, like you're right, like, but you'll be in front of me, you'll be motivating me to go faster. Like, I'm excited to be here. And then the gun goes off. And I mean, I kind of blacked out like in the first like 40 meters, and then like halfway through, I heard this annoying screaming voice. And it was actually my mother, because I was winning. And I literally, in my first track and field race ever, not only did I beat the reigning national champion, but I also hit the qualifying times to be a part of the national team. And when I look back and I think, like, how is this even possible? It's literally because the 2 years prior, every time I did a run test, I was competing alongside people with 2 legs.
Right.
And if I came in last,
so you're comparing yourselves to
exactly.
to them
Like
the whole time,
I was, and if I came in last, I had to do 10 burpees.
Right.
And if I was beating anybody, like, they were getting screamed at saying, "This girl with one leg beating you right now." So
Right.
that was 100% preparing me for that moment, and I didn't even know it. I was so comfortable having people running alongside me and I'm also that type of person that if you're right next to me, I'm gonna do everything to try to come in first.
Yeah.
So crossing the finish line, this girl she disappeared. And like, I didn't see her. She was so pissed off at the
gone.
fact. I mean, I would be pissed off. This freaking girl, like, I showed up in lacrosse gear. Like, you know what track and field athletes wear. They're wearing a sports bra and freaking like bathing suit bottoms.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a baggy tank top and baggy, like, not baggy shorts, but I'm wearing shorts. Like, my aerodynamic is all off.
Yeah.
And like, I just look like someone who doesn't know what they're doing.
Did you beat her by like a tiny bit or a little bit more than a tiny bit?
It was like 4/10 in track world. I beat her
by
pretty
a lot?
good, pretty good. In the track world, yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just remember walking back, and I'm just like,
You must have been like,
all these guys from the national team were like yelling, like screaming for me, like saying it's awesome. And then like I walked to my mom, and my prosthetist, and they were just like, "Are you serious? Like, what just happened?" And then the head coach comes over to me, and she's the one that tells me that I hit the qualifying times to be in the national team. I was just like, this isn't real. And I was just like, all right, well, I guess I belong. And then I actually reconnected with someone. So above knee amputees don't compete alongside people who are below knee amputees.
Okay.
Like in the Paralympic world, everybody has classification groups. So you're in your own classification group. They have one for visually impaired, cerebral palsy, amputees, and then wheelchair athletes. So there's 4, but there's different like classification groups for everything. And so I actually knew this one girl. She's a below knee amputee. I actually met her the year before at a disability kids camp, and she's literally like the fastest below knee amputee in the United States, and she's from Boston. So I reconnected with her, and she was like, "Oh my God, you need to come train with me in Boston. You need to meet my coach." So I show up that first day of practice thinking I'm gonna get so many compliments, thinking that like, this girl just came in, she beat the reigning national shit like this for my coach. He literally just destroyed me. He was just like, "Your running form is awful." He was like, "What did I just watch?" And so I was like, thinking to myself, I was like, all right, well, now I have work to do. I have like different things. And so, I mean, that was the first few months of that was really difficult and really challenging, just transitioning over, because It's all mental. I always say track and field is so like, yes, it's about your mechanics and everything, but it's like, when you're running, it's so difficult to I'm thinking about 100 different things at once. And like I guess you can't be doing that. But I was then selected to compete at the World Championships 3 months later. It was in November of 2019. Had no expectations for that whatsoever. I mean, I was just going to go there and just be like, listen, just getting to compete here is really cool. I'm competing against the best in the world. And I placed 4th in the world there. And then I set a new US record, and it was just because going into everything, I just don't have expectations.
So when did you start thinking you're going to start kicking ass? I mean, like, have you gotten there yet or not yet?
I haven't gotten there yet.
No, it sounds like you haven't.
No,
but you should.
I haven't.
You should.
I mean, there are a lot of stud athletes outside the United States.
Yeah, you're one of them.
Yeah. I mean, but like outside the United States, it's crazy. Like the competition there is just, it's so cool to be a part of. Yeah. I mean, but going there and coming in the place that I did, I mean, I was just like, what just happened? But I mean, it was crazy, but because I'm still thinking I have so much more to learn too. Yeah. It's just getting crazier because I'm nowhere close. So I always had small goals, and it just made me think, okay, I have something more to work towards.
There's always more.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There's always more to work towards. But at the same time, you need to acknowledge the wins you have along the way.
Absolutely. So you know what? Having COVID happen and having the games be postponed a year, that benefited me 100%. Because if I went to Tokyo and it happened when everything was supposed to, I would only have been running for about a year.
That's unbelievable.
And having this whole extra year, I mean, I just understand the sport a lot better. I mean, before COVID, I had only competed 5 times. And so if I were going into Tokyo, it would be my 6th and 7th race. Like it would be insane. And so I just need to get more competitions under my belt. And so this season I was able to compete about 4 or 5 times more just to kind of get the feel for everything. And I just finally started learning, like understanding the technique and just what it's supposed to look like when I'm running and not looking like I'm in pain when I run. Right. And I'm finally getting to that point. But and then going into Tokyo, I'm hearing about going into trials. Finally, we're finally getting exposure enough where we have a lot of competition. I mean, usually it was just me and this other girl competing against each other. But at trials...
That same girl from the first race? Yep.
Yeah, who has never beaten me.
Awesome.
But she... when we went to trials, there were four other athletes that we were competing against. And I loved it because I do better when I have more people running. Yeah. I do better when I have faster people. And so I go into trials, and I willingly beat everybody at trials, but that didn't secure my spot for the Tokyo team. So how the Paralympics work, it's not like the Olympics where you come in top 3, you're automatically going. For the Paralympics, it's all about your percentages. There's an A and B standard to make the national team, and your A standard is usually ridiculously high. So you have to hit 95% of your A standard. And I wasn't just competing alongside the people who are just above knee amputee for women. Right. I was competing against every single woman trying to make a spot, every single disability for that team. And there was only about 26 slots. So when I crossed the finish line and I won, everyone's texting me congrats. I'm like, I don't know if I'm making it yet. Because they didn't even announce the team until a week after. And so
is it, just so I understand, is that A standard you're talking about, is that a percentage of your fastest times?
No, it's the whole world. So it's literally, the girl that won in Dubai, so the way the Paralympics also work is it's all about politics, and sometimes it's not entirely fair. So the girl that won in the World Championships in Dubai actually had 2 legs. She had a club foot. And so there's not enough people like her to have her own classification group, so they lumped them with us, thinking that, but she literally killed us all. Right. It was my A standard was basically going off of her time.
Gotcha.
So it was just, I knew that I could get the percentage that I needed to, and I did run a fairly good percentage. So I was thinking to myself, I should be fine, but you just never know. You never know with how it works and the politics that goes into it. So a week later, it's the most dramatic thing ever. They put us all on a Zoom call, and we have to keep our cameras on, and they just name the list one by one. And it's literally like I'm sitting there, but luckily, finally they said my name, and I was just like,
how far down the list?
It was alphabetical. It was alphabetical. So I don't know. I think
so
I was, I mean, you're comparing me to like everyone. I mean, like they're comparing me to all these other athletes to make the team, and like so I think I was 19th out of. They ended up choosing 27. So. Okay. I knew that I was gonna around that time anyways, but I mean, I'm competing against people who are like 13-time gold medalists, like stuff like that. So it was just, you never know. And so then that was just my first thing. I was just like, I just need to make the team. I don't care. I don't care if I go to Tokyo or come in last. I just want to have that experience. But then like in the back of my head, I was just like, okay, well, I need to make finals. I can't just show up to go to semis and then get knocked out. And I'm like, everyone's like getting faster times outside the United. Like everyone, like it was the fastest above knee woman race in Paralympic history in Tokyo. It was crazy. I mean, I knew that the time that I ran at trials, if I ran that, I wouldn't have made finals. So I knew that I needed to run a very fast time. 2 weeks before I leave for Tokyo, I get COVID.
Oh, no way.
And so it was crazy because they didn't really communicate with us whether or not, like we heard maybe like 3 months before, if we get COVID within 90 days, we can't go. Right. And so I'm thinking that, and I'm like, well, what? And then so I'm going to like 3 different doctors. I'm like, I would have been fine being medically cleared before my flight, like 100%. I would have been fine, but I just didn't know, because with PCR tests, like it can show a trace, it can still show up. So I'm dealing with that mentally, and I'm dealing with having COVID, and I'm literally like going to the secluded track. I'm continuing to practice and continuing to do all these different things because I still needed to get ready. I couldn't afford to take a week off.
Right.
And
were you sick at all or no?
Yeah, I was so I had the minor symptoms of having like a cold and then losing smell and taste and just being really fatigued. Yeah. So battling through that at practice, I mean, it was definitely really tough. I mean, my mom, like I had my mom going with me, and she's staying distance just so like I wouldn't be there just if I collapsed or anything. Like,
right, so you weren't alone.
Yeah. And so luckily it was the Sunday before I was leaving on a Friday. It was a Sunday before I went and got tested. I was negative. And then we had to take like 4 or 5 like rapid tests right before our flight, like every single day, all negative. I get on the plane and we land in Tokyo. The girl I was traveling with tests positive. I immediately go into quarantine in a hotel for a week. Luckily, I could still practice, but I miss opening ceremonies. Oh, no way. I'm mentally like already checked out. I'm mentally like, I just want to go home because I'm seeing everybody in the village. I'm seeing all my friends. I'm seeing everybody at opening ceremonies. And I'm just sitting in a hotel. Like the only time I can see anybody is for 2 hours of practice. I mean, which is a long time, but like, and then I have to go straight into my room. I have to go straight into my room, and I can't leave my room. So that was mentally challenging. And then finally, luckily, like when I got there, I had 2 weeks, and then I was competing my competition was the last day. Like I had semis in the morning and finals at night. And that's another thing. Everybody else is competing before me, and I'm just sitting there like the anticipation of it finally happening. Yeah. And so
that anticipation,
it's mental. It was crazy.
It's exhausting.
And my race was literally the last track and field race of the whole Tokyo. So I'm like, so the night before my race, I sleep like an hour and a half. Yeah. I couldn't sleep because I literally am racing on Saturday and then I'm leaving on Sunday. So I'm thinking about the race and I'm thinking about going home because I'm 100% ready at that point. It's been 2 weeks. I'm over the time change. I'm over everything, but I'm just thinking to myself, I just need to make finals. Right. I just want to make finals. I'm in the fastest, there's 2 heats. I'm in the faster of the 2 heats. So I'm like, I'm thinking about that. I'm just thinking like, I need to run this specific time. So the first heat, so how it works is top 3 are secure and then the next fastest 2 for both heats. Okay. I knew that I probably wasn't getting the top 3 because the girls that were getting in the top 3 were in the 14 seconds. And I needed to be in the 15s just to even make finals. So I come in 4th and I secure my spot. I was fine. And then going into finals, it was like a breath of fresh air. I didn't even care what I got. I was just like, listen.
Well, you got there.
This is literally, I was like, I got here. This is what needed to happen. And like, this is what everything that happens, it was meant to be. And I mean, I broke an American record in my semis. I broke my own American record, but I still wasn't in the 15-second mark. I mean, I was.
So you're what? Was it 16?
It was 16-2. It was 16-2. And I was going in, and I was projected to be 7th, but I knew that I literally called it too. I was just like, if I make it to finals, like when I got to Tokyo, I was like, if I make it to finals, I'm getting 6th. I knew, just because I'm realistic, and I've been studying these other girls. I know what times they run. Like it would be, if the only reason why I would not get 6th is if something were to happen, someone were to trip or anything like that. Right. And all these girls have been running track for
like a
10
decade.
plus years. Yeah. Me, I've been running for 2. So, I mean, I cross the finish line, I come in 6th, and I finally get under 16 seconds. It was like 15-9, and I was just, I hit a new U.S. record.
Unbelievable.
That was, I mean, I was so
Where were
happy
your emotions
and content.
at that point? You know what I mean? Happy and content, but like, was it overwhelming? It must have been overwhelming.
It was definitely overwhelming, but it was just relief.
Yeah.
The relief of it being over. I mean, you know, you think, I always think, like, right before a race, like, all the nerves that I have, I'm always thinking, like, why do I put myself through this?
Yeah, those nerves are good, though.
Yeah. No, it helps. The adrenaline, everything helps. But, like, I'm thinking, like, I'm literally sitting there, and I'm like, why am I putting myself through this? Like, this is fun, but it's not fun at the same time. Like, having these emotions, having these doubts. So, like, crossing the finish line, it was mostly just relief and just thinking, all right, this is fun. This is fun again. It's just that 15 seconds where you're just like, I don't want to be here. Like,
but that's why you do it for the way you feel at the end.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's what it's
anything
all
worth
about.
having is difficult.
Absolutely. And so, like, when I crossed that, I was like, all right, ready to go home. Let's go. I want to sell, like, and not even 24 hours later, I was on a plane.
You're home.
So I was just, I mean, the support that I got from everybody at home too. I mean, it was great. And then when I really walked off the track, NBC's sitting there right now, they have a monitor, and they just put my family on the screen, like, live, and it was awesome to see, and it was just like, it's amazing to share that moment with them. It really is.
I mean, who was there with you? Was your mom there with you?
Nobody. So nobody could go. Nobody. So, there were no fans, no family. So
just you and the rest of the team.
Yeah. I mean, luckily I have good relationships with everybody. Like, I have good friendships, but it's not like, that's why everyone's like, oh my God, how was Tokyo? It was probably amazing. It was an amazing experience. I'm so grateful to be a part of it. But COVID just had that dimming effect on it, and it just, like, you think about what it could have been if COVID wasn't a thing, and so that just makes me think. Exactly. So now I need to go. I need to go again to experience it because I didn't experience it.
You gonna win next time?
I don't know. You know what? I have another goal. I'm trying to do Winter Paralympics for snowboarding.
Oh yeah. I did see that.
I am definitely in the work. I'm potentially maybe moving out to Colorado within the next 2 months.
Do it.
I mean, it's going to be very difficult to make the Beijing team. It's in March, and it's going to be very difficult to make it in that time. But I mean, I think I could do it.
What type of snowboarding do you do?
So this is another funny story. I just started last winter, and I picked it. I picked it up fairly quickly because I had a lot of people helping me. I mean, I think I would do the event slalom. It's just going down as fast as you can. That's. I think that's what I'm just gonna aim towards. But I mean, those expectations that I have. I mean, I'm really, like, I just want to go. And if I come in last, like, I will just be so happy just to even be able to accomplish that. But I know that it's gonna take a lot more work than just me saying it. So it's me and the communications with the guy. I mean, it's an adaptive program out in Colorado, and people who have, I don't know if you've ever heard of the name Amy Purdy. She's a double amputee. She was on Dancing with the Stars. She's a Paralympic snowboarder, motivational speaker.
Yep, I know what you're talking about. So I didn't know the name, but I know what you're talking about.
So it's her and her husband that have this adaptive program. So I would have her as a mentor, which is literally all I need in life. I mean,
Noelle, go.
It's just, even if I don't make the team, it's an experience.
Yeah, go do it.
Exactly. So,
you know, when you're young and, with your approach and your attitude on everything, just go do it. Give it everything you got, and have some confidence, and just say you're going to go kick ass.
I mean, so the biggest thing that needs to happen next is, I mean, every Paralympic athlete needs to get classified, internationally classified, which basically means there's a doctor's appointment so they can, like, say what your classification group is. And so for track and field, I had to go to Paris to get it done. So I'm pretty sure I have to go to the Netherlands. That's the only classification opportunity that I have in later November. So, but another thing is it's very, I don't know if it's the same as track, but, like, you need to, like, submit for it in like right now for me to get an opportunity. So that needs to happen. Like, I need to get internationally classified, and then I don't even know my qualifying times. I don't know anything. So
you're just going to do it.
I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to show up and just be like, listen,
I'm here and I want to do it.
If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If not, I'm just training for Milan 2026.
There you go. That's it. Talk to me about Born to Run.
So yeah, I mean everything that I've gone through, the people I've gotten to meet. I personally had now 3 foundations donate different specialized prosthetics to me. And I mean, I personally wouldn't be where I am today without them.
Right.
And kind of hearing their messages and all the messages that they portray. I mean, I was just thinking to myself, this is what I want to do with my life. I mean, I need to give back all the support that I received. And I just need to show people all around the world that if I can go through something like this and come out on top, 100% so can they. So when I was a junior in college is when I started talking about it. And luckily I had the help from my amazing family. And so it is called the Born to Run Foundation, and it focuses on donating specialized prosthetics to younger adults and children that just want to live a fun and fulfilling life.
Incredible.
And don't have to worry about paying for a specialized prosthetic.
Yeah.
And it's been more than 2 years. 2017. So in 4 years, we've donated 14 different specialized prosthetics. And I mean, every single time we do a donation, it is just amazing to see the reaction from the beneficiaries, because I mean,
You're changing people's lives.
I mean, it goes full circle though, because I was in I was in their position, just wanting a prosthetic so that I could do the thing and not having my amputation limit them. Right. So kind of having it go full circle, it's so amazing and just so humbling to be a part of, and just seeing the reaction on their families' faces. I mean, it's like a rush. I mean, I never want to stop.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. Doing that type of stuff too, like that's what life's all about. You know,
exactly.
When you get to a point where you can help other people.
Absolutely.
You know, by helping other people, you're just doing the right thing. It's going to help you grow.
Definitely.
Do you guys do different fundraisers? What do you do?
So we actually have our 4th annual golf tournament coming up on Monday. That's usually in Canton, Mass at the Brook Manor Country Club. So we have a couple golf tournaments a year. Yep. We have different events in Boston, Fenway Johnny's. We just did one at the Boston Winery and the Venencia restaurant. Okay. We have done things in the past with the Bruins. We do 50-50 raffles.
Awesome.
We do 5Ks. We basically do anything that could. So every time we do like a fundraising event, that the funds that are raised from that goes towards our next donation. So I mean, we have like 5 or 6 people in line right now that we're waiting to donate. And we're ready. We're just waiting for the prosthetic companies to give us the estimate. It's all. So
you've got the funds raised, and
we absolutely do. And I mean, me personally, I want to give them their prosthetic yesterday because I was that person. I was like, I want it now. I want it now. So, I mean, it's just mostly coming up with different ideas and stuff. And every time we do a donation, we usually get a good, strong media, a press release going. And then that causes people to donate and just creating awareness and stuff like that. And then that helps other people who don't know about the foundation that can help apply and stuff like that. Yeah,
I think it's awesome. Put me on the email list of when you guys are
absolutely
doing different events. We'll definitely sponsor events. We'll contribute.
Yeah,
I'm in.
That would be great.
Yeah, totally. And we'll help spread the word too.
That
through our social
awesome.
media platforms and avenues. We'll get it out there.
Yeah,
so.
We usually do a really fun one at the Venencia in Boston, in like the Boston Winery. I mean, we had one like a month and a half before Tokyo. It was just like basically a send off, and it's just a huge party. So it's great.
Let's do it. I love parties. I love wine.
Exactly.
And I love helping people. So those are all great things.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think you're an incredible person. I mean, I've talked to a lot of incredible people, and you're probably number one.
No,
honest to God.
You.
No, just your
much.
attitude, your mindset, your approach, the way you look at things. Incredibly humble after you've done all these incredible things,
Yeah,
and
I mean, it really does come to show. It really does take a team. I mean, I wouldn't be here without,
everything takes a team.
Yep, everything does.
Anybody that says they do things on their own, they're out of their mind. They don't get it. It's not the way it goes.
Absolutely not.
Whether it's your actual teammates, or it's your family, it's your co-workers, it's your coaches, whoever it is. You need people around you that are going to support you in different ways too. Sometimes it's physical training, it's mental training, it's help, it's someone listen to you cry or bitch or moan or whatever it may be.
What you need,
and that's how everybody can grow together.
Absolutely.
Any other words of wisdom before we wrap up for the people listening?
I don't think so.
Come on, you got something good.
Listen, with whatever you do in life, you always want to find what your why is. Why are you passionate about it? Why are you motivated? And then you use that answer to help achieve your dreams.
1,000%. And you can do whatever you want to do always.
Absolutely.
You know?
Whatever you put your mind to, trust me, I'm living proof of that.
Yep. Put your mind there, focus, be determined, and you can get after it. Noelle, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I really
thank
appreciate
you.
it. This was
great.
awesome.
Yes,
this was
it
awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys. Check this podcast out. You'll love it.
Thank you.